Welcome back to Inspired Forward, everyone. I'm Dan Trinidad, and I'm really excited to have a mortgage superstar as our guest today. Michael Cooksey is the founder of the Cooksey Team. Michael's built one of the more successful retail branches for mid-America. He's been in the business 16 years and has nearly closed $1 billion worth of loans. He's experienced and knowledgeable. He's got a world-class team that he's built that I'm excited to hear about how he goes about doing that. Welcome, Michael. How are you today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Hey, for the benefit of our guests who might not know who you are, maybe you could share with us how you got in the industry and what you're up to now.
Sure. I was one of those lucky ones that didn't know what mortgage was. 19 years old, bartending, and had a bunch of successful guys coming in there all the time. So I went one day and checked this thing out and didn't even know how to spell mortgage, but got a mortgage job. So from there, did mortgages pretty successfully. Actually, had a really good first year. Did really well doing mortgages for a long time. Built a pretty successful team. We got maybe to doing, not huge, but maybe around 20, 25 loans a month on average there for a while as an originator with a good team. And then saw the opportunity to shift into the P&Ls and really have something I could grow. And so about 2010, I shifted away from production and decided to go into the branch side of it and start actually trying to build something much bigger, and been at ever since.
So you're not producing at all now. You're just leading a production team of
Correct.
branches. Wow, that's pretty cool. So you got in as a bartender. You heard stories about from some of your patrons about how much how well they were doing, how much money they're making, and so basically you just jumped, or did you do a little bit of both when you started?
Well, so when I first started, yeah, I was still working as a bartender. I was also working as a bouncer in the evenings because obviously my first 4 to 6 months, I don't think I really made anything, maybe 1 or 2 little closings. Next to 12-month range, that last 6 months really took off. Right when that happened, I jumped out of everything altogether and made $100,000 my first year, dropped out of school, and it's been an increase every year over a year since then.
Wow, $100,000 your first year in the business full time. Wow, that's pretty
that
remarkable.
might have been a little bit of luck because the timing of the industry. I try not to brag on that one because everyone with a pulse could get a mortgage. So
yeah, but still, when you're brand new, as you know, you bring in somebody brand new, you don't expect for them to make $100,000 the first year. At least I haven't seen that, but I've hired a bunch of brand new guys recently, and I'm really excited watching their growth. But I'm looking at year 2 for them to hit some big numbers.
Sure.
So after the first year, you saw the potential, obviously, with this industry, and so tell me a little bit about kind of your day-to-day process of how you grew your individual production, and some of the key. At this point, were you married? You were in college, so I doubt you were married yet.
Yeah, 19, single guy. I always enjoyed sales, and it was something I always just enjoyed people, enjoyed sales. I always figured I would find success. I just figured I'd have to go get a degree and do the normal thing. So getting started in this thing, I was lucky enough to have some good mentors, right? Right guy right out of the gate says, look, you got to have a niche. And back then, it's kind of funny now to think about because he told me his niche was FHA, which again, how can that really be a niche? FHA was taken, so I didn't go with that route, and I went down the investor route. I was always super intrigued with how the investment side of things worked. I knew about it, read the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, started reading books on investment stuff. Before I know it, we're closing 10, 15 deals a month just from investors by bringing in doing these investment products.
Wow. Well, and you obviously have relationship building skills. I mean, as a bartender, probably you ended up mastering the skill of meeting people and starting conversations. Man, that's a great story. So you're producing. Are you married? I never.
I am married now. Yes.
Okay. All right. How far into the game did you decide to? Did you meet somebody and decide to get married?
So I've been at this now, I guess, 18 years, and just got married last year in April.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you.
Took you a little while to get that confidence, huh?
It sure did.
Do you have any children?
Not yet. We are working on that, hopefully for next year.
Okay, so what's kind of cool is there's not a lot of people that actually produce loans and then walk away from the actual production of it in order to lead other people to that success. So maybe you could share with us, the why you did that, because you were clearly killing it with your own production and, you know, responsible for your own thing. How did you go about making that transition?
It was really hard. It was really hard to do that. I mean, because obviously there's going to be a financial hit right out of the gate. You're going to definitely not make near as much money walking out of production into like a non-producing branch manager type role. I think in any non-producing branch role, you've got to have pretty significant amount of production to really start to make it worthwhile to be out of
Yeah.
it. But for me, it was more about passion. And I always was building people through the entire process. Even when I was 19, within the first couple months of doing this, my broker at the time was telling me, hey, if you bring on other people, we'll give you an override. You can help show them what you're doing. So even from the very beginning stages, I would always go bring people on. So I always had the ability to recruit pretty well, and helping those people, showing them the ropes on how to get going. I just realized that that was more my passion than anything else. So at some point I just decided if I was going to make a real run at this, to go the distance and actually have the kind of career I wanted to have, I needed to stick with what I was most passionate about. And I took the leap, and luckily it worked out really well.
How long did it take you to, get to a place that you were comfortable financially, and you could see the writing on the wall that you were going to be so successful?
So I would say about 3 years. First 2 years were kind of a struggle, really getting in and finding the right place, having the right backing behind me. First 2 years of doing it was kind of a struggle. I found Mid-America Mortgage and Jeff Bodie and the company here, where I no longer was trying to fit into a box, but instead they kind of gave me the whole box myself to kind of create, which is what I've always wanted. I always wanted to know that if this was a sink or a swim, it was 100% my fault, or if I succeeded, 100% my fault there too. So
Yeah.
finally having that, and kind of having that unlimited reign to do whatever I wanted to do and kind of put it to the test. And that first year, I mean, I really hit it hard. And that first year, finally having the right atmosphere, it started kind of blowing up from there.
Wow. Very cool. So, I mean, well, so when I kind of started the same way, I was an originator, and I had a consultant. They didn't have coaches back in 1988. They called them consultants, and I brought a consultant on for a period of time, and he just was pretty forward with me and said, do you want to grow your production, or do you want to grow your company? And through some soul searching, and it didn't take that long for me to really be clear on my vision to build a company. And at that point, I handed over all my production to people on our team, of which, over the course of a few years, most of them ended up losing that business because the real estate, I didn't do a good job with the transition, and the real estate agents at that time decided to do business with me. And when they weren't doing that anymore,
Hard to hand that off.
yeah, it really is, because it's all in the relationship. But you start recruiting some good people, and then your reputation grows. And so, how long did it take for you to really realize, man, I've got a team here? So when you were producing, did you have production partners or anything like that?
I sure did. Again, I've always been kind of lucky to come across people that were doing well and trying to imitate kind of what they were doing. And I'd come across another producer that had multiple assistants, and I was like, okay, well, that's shoveling it off to different people and creating a process that allows you to sell and everyone else to kind of do some of the additional operational type work. So I started adding in assistants, and back then, of course, it was very different in the type of comp and the way we were comped. So I just paid all of them out of my pocket. But we were usually doing, I had say 4 to 5 assistants at any given time. They were just production partners, more or less helping us get the job done.
Wow. Very cool. And so did you already recruit people to be on your team before you took that big jump?
No, I sure did. So we'd always have like additional loan officers that were, called pseudo part of the team. They still would kind of report back up to whatever the main managers were at the companies we were at. We'd get an override off of them and more or less just help give them some direction.
Right. Acting more as a mentor than.
Yeah.
So how many loan officers do you have on your team now?
So in my branch, so I run multiple branches across the country, but I always keep a branch as well. I find that if I'm always staying involved in the business, then other branch managers are willing to listen to me if I'm also running a branch. Plus, it's just great profit to be running your own branch as well. So in my branch, I have about 25 loan officers. And for all of my branches right now, we're probably just over 100.
Whoa. So where are all your branches located across the
All
country?
across the country. A lot of them in Texas, but we're spread out quite a bit across the country.
Now, did you go out and recruit those branches?
So some of them we inherited, so I more or less have been here for a long time, and the other maybe 5 of them I went out and recruited.
Wow. Very, very cool. So are you actually doing recruiting now?
Uh-huh.
So what's your process for recruiting loan officers? Do you have recruiters helping you, or do you make cold calls and schedule appointments and meet with them?
All the above. So I have my first recruiter ever, because I was always a big advocate that if you had to have recruiters doing it, then why are you getting paid? So, and that probably was a wrong way of looking at it. I realize that now. So why not have the help? But I've always put the effort in myself, and usually I will go through and spend the time to build a targeted list to chase after. I don't just randomly cold call. I make sure that who I've put on that list, we put thought into it, and these are people we're actually interested in going after. And I've learned that the best way to recruit is just to do a little more than what anyone else is doing. And instead of just randomly cold calling, we make sure that we make someone feel special. We really target them. We go after them. We send them things of value. We look them up. We make sure to figure out things that they're interested in to create that opportunity to get the meeting. So
And
I've always done it
and you
myself.
do all this before you even meet with them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
We
I
break
like
it into
that.
3 phases: initial contact, and that's a whole process. How do I create that initial contact? I mean, that's where
No,
all the
I like
money's
that.
made. And then it's what do I do when I meet with them? Like, how do I elevate that experience to make it much easier when I meet with them, to break them down, soften them up, because, you know, it sucks. And then I follow up after that to make sure that we stay in front of those people. It's a process that we've been working on forever, and we constantly get it better and better as we go. And then we screw it up, and then we get better at it again. And now I've just decided to bring on a recruiter as well, which is working out great. He just is an extension of my efforts to put more opportunities in front of me, which you can't possibly hurt.
Yeah, no kidding. I've never had a recruiter. Well, I've had some recruiters over all the years, like uh, very very short time periods, because I just struggled with it. That's quite frankly why I didn't. I got our company up to about 1.8 billion a while back, so it was a lot of production back then, but it was a lot of effort. It was me. It was, going to conferences, meeting people, building
Sure.
relationships over time, and bringing people on. And I've never had the success with recruiters like a lot of these companies have, who've scaled, to be extremely large. So I'm trying to definitely figure that whole thing
It's
out.
hard at the branch level because sometimes the cost of these recruiters, the ones that are good at least, the cost is so much that at the branch levels, it's hard to almost justify the cost. So
Yeah.
it's finding the right help and right support. And that's where I always in the past, like, what's not worth it? If I got to give up all my profit to get the people, then I'd rather just make the calls myself.
Right.
It's
Are
just,
you are you just recruiting experience? Are you bringing on, hungry people that want to become loan officers and grooming them to that position?
so my primary hire, we typically look for folks that are usually between about 8 to 16 million or so in production, usually closing at least probably 5 deals a month or more. And we're primarily looking for folks that kind of have gotten to that point. They're making some decent money and they really want to grow, but they kind of feel stuck. They're really more open to information at this point because, they've butted their head against the wall quite a bit. And they're really looking to take this thing to another level. And they just have kind of figured out that they just don't know how to do it. That is my favorite hire. That's what we look for. We can come in, show them how to do this, show them how to build a team, how to create more time first, leverage that time, go out, prospect the right way, and taking those folks and being able to grow a $100,000 earner to a $250,000, $500,000, and even a multi-million-dollar earner. That's my favorite thing on the planet to do.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, at that level of production, when they're doing 4, 5, 6 deals a month, they're generally more coachable. It feels good to change their life. They're making a good living, but when you start showing them how to grow, man, that's so rewarding as a leader.
Sure.
And generally, they're more appreciative. They're better on your culture. Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, they're
Um,
also my best recruiters, right? So when I take care of them and help them grow, they leverage me in a great way. And that's always helped me significantly. I mean, cold calling is always going to be a part of my life, but I'd much rather leverage.
wow, that's great. So how do you well, and so what was your peak production as a loan officer?
So we were doing between about 20, 25 units a month on average.
Okay, so when you get somebody doing 5, man, that's a great opportunity for somebody doing 5 loans a month to learn from somebody that's got to their peak at 20, 25 loans a
Sure.
month. Man, that's great. So balance. So how do you oversee what's your responsibility over all the other branches, then managing 25 loan officers in your branch, and obviously recruiting? How do you balance all that? Do you have people on your team that are helping you in certain areas? Do you have sales managers? How do you go about, what's that structure look like?
So I think it's a mixture of leverage and time management. I think that we work in a very reactive business. And unless you have people that you can leverage a lot of that reactiveness to, then it's almost impossible to be proactive. So, and actually have that balance like that, we're all hoping to have. So I have the leverage, of course, and a lot of staff. So I have a lot of people that help take care of me so that my calendar can stay extremely full. So I spend a lot of time working on my business and not just in it, making sure I put together good plans, figuring out, okay, how I'm going to take on more. I can't do everything the same way I've always done it before. I have to adjust and make some changes to that calendar, and how do I fit this in? And then I put a good game plan together and I go at it. And when it works, it's great. And when it doesn't, it's quickly to figure out this didn't work. We go adjust some things in the calendar and keep at it.
That's when the learning takes place, is when you
Oh, yeah.
actually stub your toe.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
And I've been very lucky to have some great coaches in my life. And I came across Rick Ruby and the core about a little over almost 5.5 years ago. Begged that guy to coach me forever, wouldn't do it. Made my life hell until he finally gave me an opportunity, got in. And so a lot of it for me was I surrendered at a very fast pace with these guys. And when they told me this is what you're going to do, it's what we did. I mean, it made me literally give my wife, or my, at that time, girlfriend, their phone number and say that if I wasn't home at this time, that she would call them and I would get fined. So that worked pretty quickly to get my butt home. And I've started figuring out how to get things done in the hours that I had to work.
Wow, that's great. What hours do you work?
So I come in at 8:30 and I'm out by 5:30.
Every day?
Every day. I have one late day per week, which is Wednesday if I need it. So if I need it on Wednesday, I can stay later. Maybe once a month, occasionally I will, but most of the time I don't.
Anything on weekends?
No.
Man, I love it. So as a leader, what do you think your biggest strength is?
I'd say biggest strength probably is influence, and just really having a great way with the people that are here and being able to show them and help guide them to being able to do bigger things. I've always been a lead by example type. So instead of me just sitting back here and telling them all these great things that they should be doing, I make sure they know my job is the exact same as theirs. Literally, my target is loan officers and branch managers. Their target is realtors and builders, financial planners, so on and so forth. We both have a target, and then we both are chasing that target at all times. And then we develop and build a team around us to be able to help take care of that. So they know that I have the same job. They see me in here either having face-to-face meetings or on the phone all day, every day, and they know I will run circles around them on calls and meetings, and I make sure to always lead at that level.
Man, that's very, very cool. So how often are you talking to your branch managers, your sales managers, your ops managers? Give me an idea of, your communication program or system on how you get your messaging out.
So at a minimum, every 2 weeks. So I make sure that every 2 weeks, everyone is on my calendar for a coaching call. And those coaching calls will either consist of coaching if they're in a coaching program and want to be coached, or if they just want to be informed, because you realize you can't coach everyone. If people don't want it, trying to do that just doesn't work. So they have informed or coached. Informed means I'm supporting, giving information, I'm helping. There's no accountability to it. It's just all for fun. And I make sure that is every 2 weeks with every single person. And then on top of that, I have call plans where I make sure that I reach out to people, spend time with them that way. I do cookouts at my house once a month where all the employees are invited along with their families. So they get pretty large sometimes.
Is that all the branches flying in, or just
anyone that wants
local?
to come in? Most of the local ones will come in. Anyone that want to come in can come in. But for anybody who's local, it just gives me more time to spend with their families, get to know them better. So they have that piece of it as well. And then I also do like a cigar nights every month where I go out and anybody who wants to come join there can come. I try to make sure to be available, but on a scheduled basis to where I'm not being pulled 1,000 different directions, to be able to make sure I can spend a lot of time with everyone, both personally.
Wow, so once a month you're having people over to your house. Once a month you're going to a cigar bar and inviting people who want to join you. Or do you also include, business partners such as realtors and builders?
They're welcome to invite anyone they'd like to come out. Yep.
Wow.
But bringing the families into it was a huge part for me. And I never saw that value before until I first did it, and realized that when you could start bringing people's kids out to the house and their families out the house, that kind of engagement you get with your your team is huge. You get to know their families better and their spouses and the kids, and it changes the culture of the company in such a great way.
Yeah. So I know you, you do a lot with team building, and this must be part of it. Anything else you can share that, activities you do to strengthen your team?
Sure. Well, we do a quarterly fun event. So we have a fun committee that's more or less anyone jumps on whenever they want to talk about fun things they like to do. So once a quarter, we all go do something fun. So it is a takeoff from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Everyone is paid for the time, and we go do something fun. Our most recent one was paintball. It's pretty awesome. That was a lot of fun. And we just go spend time together that way. We also, once a quarter, do a charity event, and that means we go donate our time. Again, it's charity, right? So it's not a mandatory thing. It's just people that want to join in, and we'll all go donate our time to a cause. I think it helps bring a lot of perspective as well, and just great time to spend with everyone. And we do a monthly potluck. So our meeting, we just do once a month, big meeting where we kind of bring everyone together. And any and all the branches all have their meetings as well. And we do a potluck for it. So in any and all the locations, they'll bring in, everyone kind of brings in food, hangs out together, try to make sure these meetings, we cover any topics of what's important, anything new going on. We mostly keep it as fun as possible, really going through and measuring all the things that really matter, not just production, but from conversions to speed to being able to get deals done to customer service and who's taking the best care of their customers, getting the most testimonials, generating the most referrals. And that way we're able to highlight not just the loan officers, but their teams and bringing their teams in and making them a big part of these meetings to know that it's not all just about the production, but we couldn't do this without you.
Wow, that's cool. So who is your customer? Is it the loan officer? Is it your employees, or is it, the person buying the home, or is it the real estate agent?
So if you're asking me personally, I'd say my customer is first of all my team, because without my team, there's no way I could ever possibly take care of the loan officer. And then next in line with that would probably be the loan officer, right? So for me personally, I think for my loan officers, their main customer is their team. If they have team, then their realtors, and then their ultimate customer.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, so you're a busy guy, and most people that I talk to that are accomplishing a lot also are very disciplined and ambitious with the other things in their life. So I think it's awesome. You're gone by 5:30 every day. I think it's awesome that you dedicate a little bit of time, personal time, to your team as well, not just only about business, but celebrating with their families and going out and celebrating by smoking a cigar somewhere and just sharing stories. What are some of your disciplines that you do to keep your relationships strong and keep your health, strong? Because as you know, if your relationships have problems or if your health has problems, it definitely transfers over to your business. What are some things you do on on a timeline that that contribute to your success?
So for one, for health purposes, I have a great meal plan in place where we've actually got a guy that takes care of us and puts together a lot of meals for us throughout the week so we can keep to healthier portions. I find if I ever eat unhealthy during the day, oh, my day is shot, especially if I'm coaching or trying to support people. There's no way I could take down a cheeseburger and then finish the day strong. So these are things, keeping a healthy meal makes it the only way that I can actually get through these days well and wake up and actually have that strength there. So that's a discipline I have with keeping me eating healthy. Keeps me from going off the reservation on that one. With the wife, it's great. One, she knows that I honor her and that I'm going to be home, right? And then when I'm home, it's all about her. So my wife's love language is time. So if I'm not giving her actual time, there's no way in hell this thing would ever work. I think the easiest thing for me would always be to just maybe words of affirmations. I think most of us sales guys can pull that off. Maybe gifts. But of course, it turns out that hers is time. So when I'm home, phone's off, and I'm hers. And then once a week, we have date night every Friday night without fail. Every single Friday, we always have our date night, whether it's going out somewhere or it's just making sure that we're just doing something together at home. And that keeps things going really great between me and the wife.
Wow, that's very cool. Yeah, I coach people to get their health on the calendar first. If it's meditation, if it's going to the gym, if it's taking a walk, get your health on your schedule first, then get your important relationships on the calendar, second, and build your business around that. And that seems to When I lead my team, I'm talking more about their life and the success in their life more than, just business, because over the years I've just seen so many real good loan officers blow it.
Sure.
They don't take care of the relationship. They're spending too much time working and they neglect it. They start making a bunch of money and they think it's going to last forever, so they start blowing it on stupid stuff. And then when the market turns a little bit, they get themselves into trouble, or they start having health issues, and then their production drops. So it's really good. Do you teach this as well to your team?
Absolutely. So that's a big thing for us. So all my loan officers have to read the 5 love languages. They have to do this with their wife. Believe it or not, that's actually a big shock for them sometimes when they come back and didn't even know what their wife's love language was. It's never a good thing. But actually getting them more engaged in home life, pushing them to having a date night as well, creating a better calendar around making sure that they do go home. I do the same homework assignments I get, right? To where their wives can tell me if they're not doing what they need to be doing as well, which is kind of a fun thing also. I do personal budgets with everyone. I find that that's pretty important. So we're really big about creating wealth. And I think most of us weren't taught, unless we were raised by wealthy people, weren't taught really what to do and how to utilize money. So that's a big thing I do. If I'm going to help these folks go from making 100 grand to $1 million a year, they have to know what to do with it. So saving money is a big aspect of what we do, showing that they're turning in that budget, that they're making sure they're saving money every single month. We have metrics that they're forced to try to hit. So that's a big piece of what we do, is to keep them on track, because like I said, it's not really what you make, it's what you have. And I've seen too many people below this and have such a great opportunity and then just have nothing. And it's always depressing to see.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what drives me most now. I mean, I'm 59 years old, and for me, it's about teaching, people how to build wealth and have a great life, not so much just get more mortgages. The mortgage business is just a component of our entire life. It's just
Sure.
a piece of what we do, right? And
Absolutely.
I love what you're saying. Man, that's cool. Very inspiring to me, certainly, to get back on my game in some of these areas. So you've been in the business a while now. You said 18 years.
Yep.
What does our future look like? So we've got a lot of different types of players coming into the market now. Amazon and Quicken for several years now. What do you see?
I think it's always going to be changing. And I definitely think that moving forward, I think consumer direct still doesn't play a huge piece in our business yet, but I do think it's going to. I think when you start getting like the Amazons out there, and if that starts to push into mortgage, for sure, a lot more of that market share is going to get taken out. As a self-sourced loan officers are going out there and building relationship-based business. I don't think that's going away by any means. And I think that that'll be something that's going to move strong for a long time, at least beyond probably past my retirement. But I think that as long as we stay focused on doing the best we can possibly do, you only have what you can control. And if you're going to be a loan officer in today's market, you got to take it to that next level. You got to really take care of people at a high level and make sure that you can compete against this. I think we also all have to be working for making mortgages cheaper. I think the cost to originate, everyone's gunning after the cost to originate, right? All the new technologies out there and Blend coming into the marketplace, and everyone trying to find a way to make it less people in the actual production. I think that that is going to happen. I think the cost to originate is going to continue to come down. I think that as a mortgage company, if you're not involved in some level of technology to do that, at some point you might get left behind. But as long as you're always striving to keep up with that piece too, so that you're not delivering a product to the consumer significantly higher than what your competitors are, then I think you'll be all right.
Yeah, I think technology for the smart loan officers, is used to, help the customer experience as opposed to replace you. And I think I agree with you. I think the people that are building real relationships, I mean, kind of like what you are with your team, they should be doing with their real estate agents or builders, and even their customers. You make it a great customer experience, keeping in mind that there is no way that an online company can have that personal touch, at least right now. Maybe in the future there'll be robots that can do that. I don't know, but I think our best bet as an industry is just to get real good at relationship management, relationship building. And too many loan officers are relying on leads now and the technology to get their business. I think there's you know, a real good reason to do that, but it's really important that those relationships, once they get those leads, are solid. Man,
I
that's
think
good.
showing it early is so important. I think some people that have created like this wow experience, right? So they have this whole thing where they finally got this wow experience on delivering a deal to a customer from the time the contract comes in to closing. And I think at that stage of the game, if they're going to stay with you, they're probably going to stay with you. I think delivering that experience from the second you get the lead is where it's missed so much in our business. And I think when you deliver the same experience and you just hop on the phone and say, everything looks good to go, you're pre-qualified, here's your pre-qual letter, and you're delivering that same thing as Quicken is doing or anyone else, you're not differentiating yourself. So it's starting to create those experiences early on with a customer and doing those little touches from the first time you get the lead, still inviting people in, having a face-to-face experience when you can and you're dealing with business within your marketplace, and just going that extra mile, taking a consultative approach with people to not just say you're qualified for 400,000, but maybe it's a better idea to stay in this 300,000. Does this fall in line with your overall financial goals? Kids going to college, and taking that moment to actually care about what's really important to this person instead of just pushing for the highest loan. I think those are the little moments that make the big difference in our ability to convert, maintain that business, and in a market where they're going to continue to be more consumer direct and they're going to grab their attention. We got to make sure that when they do grab their attention, that they can see a difference between what just happened in that call with that consumer direct person versus the experience they've had with us. I think that's going to be the real difference maker in our future.
I do too. And those are the people that are going to more than likely come back and refer people,
Sure.
when their experience is just, they become raving fans. Um, that's awesome. So what, what book do you most often give out as gifts?
Depends. So everybody who starts here, we always give them raving fans and take the stairs. So that's just something they get right out of the gate when they first start here. Anyone who's looking to build their actual business, they're looking to grow a team, and they want to take this thing to the next level. I'm really big on Patrick Lencioni's The Advantage, one of my favorite books. It's a big part of my business here. And also E-Myth. So the E-Myth Revisited, I think, is great for anyone looking to start to developing a team and understanding the concept behind that. I think, and I got a salesperson that's really pushing for sales, how to win friends and influence people. Dale Carnegie, I think it's hard to beat that as far as the concept of learning how to get more invested in or interested in people. But so I've got kind of a deep list of books that I really respect and appreciate that have made an impact in my life that I try to delegate or give out based upon what that person's looking for.
Wow, we read the same books. I mean, I love Lencioni's stuff, and
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're very easy reads, and he has that way of creating a story with it that has it all come together at the end. I love
Sure.
that. So Michael, how would somebody get in touch with you?
So reaching out to me directly is always a great way to go. My direct line, 972-767-5701 is my office line. Cell phone number is 214-552-6731. So calling me directly is always a great way. My email address, a bit long, but it is michael.cooksey@midamericamortgage.com. And that's usually the best way to catch me.
Wow, great. So all of you listeners out there, man, if you're looking for a leader or a place to align yourself with, I mean, reach out to Michael. He's clearly doing all the right stuff. Michael, thanks so much for your time today. I look forward to at some point getting to know you in person a little bit. Maybe
Absolutely.
going to a conference, or next time I'm in Dallas, I'll look you up.
No, I love that, man. I really appreciate you having me on the show today.
You bet, Michael. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
All right. Thanks so much, bud. Take care.
All right, man. See ya.